welcome back to another episode of the Nonprofit Show. We're really excited to have Hardy Smith on with us. He's back on with us. We had you, oh my gosh, Hardy, it's been a couple years or so now, I think. But we're going to talk about the big question that everybody asks: why don't boards do their work? You hear this question a lot?
Quite often. It's what I get asked about the most, and it's the whole reason for the book, Stop the Nonprofit Board Blame Game. And I'll be sharing lessons from the book to answer the question today.
I love it. I'm in the same boat. Of all the questions that people ask me, whether it be in person, when I'm speaking, just through email, it's always board oriented and the frustration of why it's not working. And so this is such a huge topic, and we are delighted to have you on today. We have the opportunity to talk with Hardy Smith and get his ideas because we have presenting sponsors, and they include Bloomerang, American Nonprofit Academy, Staffing Boutique, Holdings Nonprofit Banking, Interim Executives Academy, Your Part-Time Controller, Crescent Cares, Fundraisers Friday, and JMT Consulting. These are the folks that join us day in and day out. I'm Julia C. Patrick, CEO of the American Nonprofit Academy. More importantly, Hardy Smith. He is an executive coach, an author, and a speaker. He's written this fabulous book called Stop the Nonprofit Board Blame Game. Talk to us about your book.
Well, Julia, thank you so very much. And the quick origin story of the book is, I know, like you, and so many others in the nonprofit world, I've just kept hearing over and over and over the angst, the loss of sleep, the frustration around board members not doing what they're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. So I saw that there seemed to be a whole lot of advice, mainly from the professional staff perspective, on what organizations ought to be doing about these dysfunctional board situations. But I felt like that wasn't helping because there's a whole lot of the same advice from a lot of my good friends in the nonprofit consulting world. So I reached out, Julia, to my national network of personal connections of individuals who were or actively or have been actively serving as a very good board member. So I just put the question to them: why is it that board members don't do what they're supposed to do? And when the answers started coming back to my survey project, I didn't have a book in mind at the time, but all of a sudden, Julia, I saw the responses to my open-ended questions provided the sync up and the link up and the connection of all the answers was amazingly similar. And I told my wife, I just imagine I had computer printouts of email surveys all over the house, the kitchen floor, the den, the living room, the whole house was full of paper. And I said, look at this. They're all saying the same thing. So all of that morphed into what is now the book. And what's different about the book is, nonprofit leaders don't need to be told that they have a problem. They know that, right? But the challenge is, why does the problem exist? And that's what the book shares. And it's not my perspective. It's not the perspective of nonprofit professionals. It's from the perspective, Julia, of the board members. So they said, here's why we're turning off. Here's why we don't do what we're supposed to do. And here are the problems that they identified is creating the issues. And then I overlaid all of that with the solutions. So that's what the book is all about. And it's doing, I certainly appreciate an opportunity to share I'm celebrating my fourth publication anniversary date this month, and it's going great. Continues to be a bestseller on Amazon. Um, and it's doing way better than I really thought it would.
I love it. Well, it is a bestseller on Amazon. You've won a lot of accolades about it, and it continues to resonate. I think what you said that's so interesting is that, we know we have a problem, we just don't know how to fix it. And so I love that, um, you use the word blame in the title of your book. And that's not going to get us anywhere. We don't need to be blaming anybody. We need to be thinking about the process of how we can be better and how we can make things work. So one of the things that I'd love to jump in with you is, how do we reapproach board recruitment? Because I was telling you in the green room, the number of times I've been asked to sit on a board, and I mean, we're talking decades, and the CEO or board chair will say, "Don't worry, you don't have to fundraise." And we only meet a couple times a year. And I'm always like, well, then why do you want me? Like, what's there to do? Right. So talk to us about this board recruitment piece.
Well, I'd love to. It's one of my, like you, we share that being a shared favorite topic to jump into. Well, first of all, if your board members are not meeting expectations, I'm going to suggest right off, it's quite possible you have the wrong people on your board.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say it's not the people, it's not the board members that's creating the problem. It's your recruiting process. So, a quick scenario, especially at a local level. We typically, this is the experience that I see way too often, and I know you'll share this pain, that we don't put a priority on recruiting and getting the board members we need. We don't think about it. We don't work on it. The only time we think about it is when the annual meeting is maybe 30 days away. We have a couple of board slots to fill. Maybe some people are rotating off. Maybe some people have dropped off during the year, but we're not working in advance to solve our problem of getting good board members. So typically it's the last meeting before that annual meeting, and it's okay. Well, we have two slots. Does anybody know anybody? Oh, yeah. Well, Julia Patrick is here in the community, and she's on like 5 or 6 different boards. Obviously, she would be a good board member. Does anybody know her? Well, no one really knows her, but several people have heard of her. Well, okay, so obviously she's going to be a good board member. And there is no time for vetting. There's no time for doing background work. And oh, by the way, that whole saying about that we've all heard about. Well, if you want something done, who do you get? Oh, a busy person, right? Well, I say no, 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 no. I've already said the qualifier here for Julia being on our board is that she's on 5 or 6 other boards.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's the reality of Julia's situation? I know she's dynamic. I know she's awesome and all of that. But if she's on 5 or 6 other boards, and like your board, they all meet once a month, how many first priorities do you think Julia can have, or anyone can have, on getting to 5 or 6 board meetings in a month?
Right.
And it's, she's going to have to make choices. So in a relationship, do you want to be the number one priority, or do you want to be someone's second, third, or fourth priority whenever they can get around to you? That usually doesn't work out. So my suggestion is recruit board members with purpose and process. Mm-hmm. So think about your strategic plan. Hopefully you have one. That's a whole nother topic.
We'll move into that.
You have a good strategic plan. You have a good mission. You have a good vision statement. Recruit your board members to that.
Mhm.
Recruit your board members by and have the conversation, the one-on-one conversation around what's expected, what are the
Right.
skills, what's the background. And you know, Julia, here we are at the start of a new year, 2026. A board member in 2020, your organization may need an entirely different board member
Yes.
from an experience and skill standpoint in
Mhm.
2026 than you needed in 2020.
Right.
And so you have to constantly evaluate.
Mhm.
So recruit board members with purpose and process, be intentional about who you're recruiting for your board members.
Hardy, it's interesting that you said that about the number of boards that people are on. I have been noticing in like the last like 8 to 10 years, a number of organizations that have said, kind of put it out there, that if you serve on more than two boards, you can't be on our board at that same time. And I know of one organization that in my community is a statewide organization,
Mhm.
and it's they have a great mission and all that.
Mhm.
They will
Sure.
only allow you to be on their board, and you have to cycle off or take a hiatus or whatever, but they only want you to be on their board during that
Hallelujah.
tenure.
Congratulations.
And
And
yeah,
sometimes you might be on a local board and then the local board is an affiliate
right,
of a state organization and you might represent your nonprofit on the state board. I don't see that as a conflict.
right.
That's compatible.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it's to your point, is like how many resources are you going to have as a leader and where are they going to flow to? And so if you're doing all of that, chances are, to your point, your priority is going to drop. So we've kind of started off with that issue of cultivation and looking at who's out there, the talent sources that we need, understanding that. Talk about board expectations, because I feel like this is the big thing that most board members don't get until they've been elected.
Well, that's true. And if I could just quickly walk back to the first question, you know, we're really good. Organizations that are really good in their fundraising activity are usually very good at doing their research, donor research, and due diligence.
Mhm.
I suggest applying that same skill set to board recruitment. Do your due diligence. Okay, board expectations, clarity, and acceptance. You know, Julia, I'm really focused on. I want to get Julia on this board now, and we know she's really
Please
good.
don't.
We know she's very busy, and so we're having this conversation, and I'm saying, and she Julia, being a very responsible individual, is asking, well, what all is involved? Oh, don't worry about it. If time is a concern, we only meet. We do meet once a month, but you don't have to worry about coming to board meetings.
Mhm,
And you're such a big name. We really just want you to have your name on our letterhead, and that's a big problem, by the way. But
mhm,
so we don't see a whole lot of time being invested. Well, why? And oh, by the way, we do know that fundraising is going to be an ask of Julia, but we're
mhm,
not bringing this up in our conversation with Julia when she's in the board candidate role. Why would we? Why would we not talk about expectations? Why would we not talk about if fundraising is going to be an ask? Why would we not bring that up?
mhm. It's such an interesting thing because my sense of it is, Hardy, is that it speaks to the bigger issue of fear and the fear of being honest and direct. And if you're having those struggles with your board, chances are you're having it with your funders, your donors, certainly your staff, maybe even your clients. It is
Yeah,
just a part of an ecosystem it's pretty shocking.
it is. And you hit the nail on the head, the word fear.
Mhm.
I'm not going to share with what I'm expecting my board candidate to do. I'm not going to share that fundraising is involved,
Mhm.
because I'm afraid they'll say no. And
Right.
now all of a sudden I'm back to where I started from. The annual meeting's 30 days, less than 30 days away now, and I still don't have a prospect to fill that seat. So what I've seen happen all too often, Julia, is okay, the candidate says yes. We get to the altar and they say, I do. The commitment has been made. And then, after
Man.
the honeymoon is over at the first board meeting, and oh, guess what? We
Mhm.
do have a requirement that all of our board members raise a significant amount of money, a requirement that board members give a significant amount of money. We didn't have the conversation in advance, but
Mhm. Yeah.
now, if you're in marketing, if you're selling appliances, if you're selling real estate, if you're selling cars, that's called bait and switch, and it's
Yeah.
illegal.
Yeah.
And
That's
so,
that's
and
great. That's
so
a great point. Yeah.
where is the trust factor now? I really misled you. So
Mhm.
where's the trust factor now, and how important is trust in a relationship? And can I really realistically think you're going to be engaged with
Right.
something that you never committed to do? So
Mhm.
getting clarity, have the conversation, outline what the ask is. Here's what you ask all of your board members to commit to, whatever that activity happens to be. And if fundraising is involved, have the money talk. I've got a chapter in the book, have the money talk. So have the money talk. And after you have you approach this conversation, then stop talking and
Mhm.
listen for acceptance.
Right.
Because just because you tell someone, here's what we're asking you to do, you've got to give them enough time to consider that ask. And are
Mhm.
they comfortable with it? And
Mhm.
will they be willing to do it? Are they committed to doing it? So that's one of the biggest challenges that I see. So many organizations don't get the clarity. They
Yeah.
they do this whole marketing push, and oh, we really want you on our board. You're great. We assume another mistake here, especially around fundraising and clarity. We assume that, oh, well, they're on a nonprofit board. We assume they know they should be raising money. And well, I'm going to tell you, money is a very personal conversation. It's a personal issue.
Mhm.
Just because people are on boards does not automatically mean they're willing to raise money. Not everybody's willing to ask someone else for money.
Right.
And I'm not talking about the old school stick stamps on an envelope and address envelopes or share a
Mhm.
contact. I'm talking about direct solicitation, big dollar ask. And a final note about getting clarity, Julia, if you want fundraisers on your board, get fundraisers. So this is where your due diligence really is important. What's their history of raising money? And
Mhm.
oh, by the way, just because Julia's on her 5 or 6 other boards, um, does that mean all of her friends and customers and clients and family members that she's going to put the touch on for a nonprofit contribution, are they going to be excited? Oh, great. Julia's on another board and I'm supposed to be writing more checks. So
Right.
you've got to do your due diligence.
Right. I love that you said that. And I think it's, again, you and I could talk hours about this. And I know offline we have, because it's such a huge issue. I want to move into the issue of creating a positive board experience, because I know that you and I have served on boards different, and sometimes you're just like you can't wait to go, and the meetings are great, and you get so much from that board experience. And then other times you can go and maybe the mission is even better, or you're even more aligned with the mission, but the board experience is not so good. Talk to us about how we should be thinking about this, Hardy.
Thank you for asking this very important question. And it's really the foundational issue that board members shared with me of why the good board members turn off. And they turn off because there is a less than positive board experience. And this is where the blame game comes from. So the professional staff are pointing the fingers of blame at the board members for not doing what they're supposed to do. The
Right.
board members are pointing their finger of blame back at the nonprofit professionals for a less than positive board experience. So here's some quick hitters that influence this situation. Uh, Volunteers, your board members are volunteers, so don't forget that. We kind of forget that quite often, but your volunteers are important people. Think about who exactly you want your board members to be, and that prototype board member is going to be a 5-star blue chip prospect, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're very important people. They're very influential people. That's why you want them on the board, and they're very busy people. They do not want to waste their time.
Yeah.
And if they feel like coming to your nonprofit nonprofit's board meeting is going to be a waste of their time, they will not make their being there will not make a difference for the mission. They will not be moving the mission. They will not be having a strategic conversation around challenges that need to be addressed, getting their input on ideas that again might help move the needle toward a positive outcome for the nonprofit. They're out.
Right.
They've got more things to do than wasting a few hours every month where nothing is being done.
Mm-hmm.
So make your meetings matter. And you can do that by restructuring the format of your meetings. And a quick thing you can do if in your strategic plan, let's just say you have 6 goals in your strategic plan, you meet once a month. Well, you could have 2 goals a month or every other month, have one of your 6 goals as a strategic conversation, a progress report. What's happening? Are you coming up short? What do we need to do to adjust? And now all of a sudden, your meeting is not just rubber stamping a bunch of
Right.
reports. And now all of a sudden, there's an expectation that discussion isn't not only expected, it's encouraged.
Right.
Encouraged. So, and you have a good board chair who is in a role of being meeting facilitator for getting everyone involved. That will make a huge difference in your engagement. And if your board members are feeling like it's going to be an engaging opportunity, they will want to be there. It's
Right.
also important to have in your meetings, how often, Julia, do you see the board member sliding in? Your meeting starts at the top of the hour. They're sliding into their board seat a minute before, and as soon as the meeting ends at a minute at the top of the next hour, they're gone.
Right.
Well, if the meetings are going to be engaging and maybe there's an opportunity for a little socializing,
Right.
they'll want to be there because not only do they want to be a good board member, they have a chance to see their friends. So
Right.
connecting with their friends needs to be an important opportunity. Another element, go ahead. I think you've got a
What?
good question.
Yeah, I do, and I we don't have a lot of time left, and so I want to kind of revisit and expand upon the strategic planning, because what I like that you said about this is that I think all too often boards, kind of work through the mire of a strategic plan, and then they really pull it back out when the year end is coming up, and then they are like, oh yeah, we didn't do very well, or oh, and I like that you said that the strategic plan should be part of the board engagement, because it makes it front and center, right? I mean, it's really an important thing. And I feel, Hardy, that a board member who sees impact, it's easier to be engaged.
100%. That's why you're so brilliant in the work that you do, Julia. You understand this.
I
And how
love it.
often do we hear that, well, the nonprofit professional, the staff leader really doesn't want to do strategic planning. They don't have
Hmm.
time for it. They don't want to fool with those board members. And well, okay, they'll just write one. So it's a weekend coming up. They don't have
Hmm.
anything to do. They'll get some snacks, their
Yep.
favorite beverage. They'll come to the next board meeting.
Yep.
Here's the plan. I've got it. What does everybody think? Well, and they've outlined here's what all the board members are supposed to do. The board says, sure, why not? Sounds good. And then now, as a staff professional, you're laying awake at night. Well, the board members aren't doing a single thing they committed to in that strategic plan.
Right.
Newsflash, they didn't commit to a thing.
Yeah.
They weren't involved. It's your plan, it's not their plan.
Their plan.
Great
Right.
friend of mine, Dr. Jack Hawkins of Troy University, a longtime friend of mine, told me years ago, Hardy, if they help bake the cake, they own the cake. So
Hmm.
get them involved in the development of a strategic plan. Have that facilitated workshop, a retreat, use outside professional help. Don't try to do it yourself
Right.
and get people involved. That becomes their plan. Couple that in with making the strategic plan results a part of your regular board meetings,
Meeting.
and the
Yeah.
conversation continues. It's
Right.
not just a have a planning activity as a one and done, and then you come back and see it again in another 12 months or so.
Right. I so appreciate that you've drawn the link between that guide and understanding that journey to continually supporting engagement. Because I think that that's the thing that we forget. I don't think we even forget. I don't think we understand the power of using that strategic plan in that way.
Unfortunately, there are too many organizations who just, for one reason or another, don't commit, will not commit, don't invest the time, energy, and resources to
Mhm.
develop a good plan. You know why it works. You know why a good plan is important. We just don't think as a sector, way too many of us, that we don't have time to do that.
Right, right.
And then you're really just, how important, my challenge question is then how important is your mission? It must not be all that important. You're just winging
Yeah.
it. So
Wow.
not good. And you're wondering why you're floundering.
Right, right. Well, as always, Hardy Smith, you're one of the great minds in our nonprofit sector. It
Thank
has
you.
been wonderful to revisit this time with you and your approaches. Stop the nonprofit board blame game. Wow, didn't get that out very succinctly. Um, is really a great tool. It is an Amazon bestseller. You can get it on Amazon. Again, Stop the Nonprofit Board Blame Game by Hardy Smith. And if you just type in Hardy Smith, it will come right up on Amazon and get to you very quickly. But very interesting approach. And I think, Hardy, what I liked about this time with you today is that this is that time of the year as we have a new year. It makes it easier for a lot of organizations to kind of make some of these changes, rethink, do better planning. So I am so, so grateful that you came on today. Thank you so much.
Julia, thank you so very much. And we as a sector need to understand, we if we haven't figured it out after a pandemic, after economic downturns, after natural disasters,
Mhm.
that we are in a world of change, challenge, disruption, and uncertainty. So
Mhm.
follow these steps to help get the workaround so
Mhm.
that your organization can thrive and fulfill the mission you're committed to.
I love it. Wise words, my friend. Wise words. Hey, as we finish up our time with Hardy Smith, and believe me, I could go on for hours with you, my friend, because of the things that you share and how important this topic is. I want to make sure that I give a shout out of gratitude to our presenting sponsors, because they allow us to have these conversations with people like Hardy Smith. And those folks are Bloomerang, American Nonprofit Academy, Staffing Boutique, Holdings Nonprofit Banking, Interim Executives Academy, Your Part-Time Controller, Crescent Cares, Fundraisers Friday, and JMT Consulting. Hardy, I don't know if you remember this, but from the last time you were on, we end each and every show with this mantra. And it goes like this: to stay well so you can do well.